Friday Night Live, back on deck. Back on deck. Producer Ryan, Sean, and Mark. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Friday Night Live. We are re-energized. Apologies that we didn't have this energy because we were just going 100 miles an hour. Now we're going 200 miles an hour. So yes, this is the second wind of energy coming back to the JR team. I'm very excited. Interest rates are going up. Everything's going to end.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're going to die.
Not really.
That's
not
really.
A given. Every time I hear that, that's what I feel like. But ladies and gentlemen, today's episode is very, very important. I actually didn't want to really do this episode because there are a lot of people, a lot of opinions, a lot of confusion, and personally, I don't think it's such a big deal. In fact, I think the interest rate rise is good for society, good for the economy, but we'll talk a little bit about that. But today's episode is about interest rates. It is about understanding what is really going to happen, pros and cons, and what are the changes we're experiencing so far, and how much people's mortgages are going to change. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into this episode, I do want to do a little bit of a plug, and this is not a shameless plug because I often find that Friday Night Live is more conversational for all of us. But Mark here, Mark, if you want to turn around and say hello to everyone. Yay!
Hello.
Mark does an amazing job with Jennifer every Monday, every Tuesday. Yep. Do you want to tell the audience what it is about? Because I think it is super valuable.
Yeah, state of the market. What we do, we look into market trends, what's happening from a residential, commercial, industrial point of view. We deep dive into property development, real estate investment, finance, just to get a bit of a general scope on what is, I guess, coming to market, maybe a new buildings coming in or a new infrastructure plans coming in, things like that. And things that give us a little bit more insight as to why we would invest to an area that may have a lot more green fields at the moment and why that in 10, 20 years is going to be something to...
That is amazing. So no fluff, straight to the point, up-to-date information with no doom and gloom. If you will.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
State of the market. When does it come out? When can I watch? Where can I watch?
Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. Is that correct? Right.
Producer Ryan, Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. Producer Ryan, if we can just have a link to the state of the market below. Yes. You can watch it on a LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, I don't know, wherever it's going to come up.
And we're just clubbing again.
No, but I really want, because you know what? The market is changing and we all love to have a little bit of a chat here, a little bit of a yarn, but I think State of the Market is an incredible platform for people to get their information from people who are actually in the world of real estate without the doom and gloom and weird assumptions.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Sean, I want to dig deep into this conversation today. There's a lot of conversation around interest rates rise, and we have seen a 0.25% increase along the interest rate. And people such as ABC and 60 Minutes think this will cause $1 million properties to turn into $300,000 properties for some reason. It didn't make sense on my calculator. I don't know what calculator they've got. So speaking of which, I just wanted, can you educate us? Can you educate our customers? What does this really mean? What is happening? What is happening? Just tell us what is happening, and then we'll get into some numbers and so on and so forth.
Great idea. In reality, we officially have the second lowest interest rates we have ever had now.
Wow. Celebrate.
We're
still the second lowest in 11 years.
We have ever had in history. Since the beginning of Australia. That's where we're sitting today.
Wow.
So if you're still sitting on the fence, don't do that. If you're a fan of Friday Night Live, you know what that means. You'll get splinters in your bottom, right?
That is correct.
So get out there, get your investment strategy down packed and invest, because it is the greatest time alive to be an investor. I remember, helping investors when it was 6.5%, 7%. I remember helping investors when it was 1.99.
Can I ask you something?
Absolutely.
So when the interest rates were 6.5 till now, did properties move forward? Did they grow in value?
Absolutely.
Were they still getting rented?
Absolutely.
You're telling me people who are still living in houses.
Rents still grew over time.
So they didn't move into trees, bus stops, train
Well, the
stations?
trees grew as well, so they moved into trees. But the thing is, you see, we have more and more people coming into this amazing,
Beautiful country.
beautiful country, this amazing land. There's something magical in the soil in Australia.
There is.
And I have heard this from a lot of people that are overseas, very successful, that know there is something special in the soil in Australia. Now, there were approximately about 500 to 600 odd thousand people that were meant to hit the shores during the period of the pandemic that weren't actually able to enter the country.
We miss you.
And for some
We
of them,
want people, man.
for some of them, we weren't even able to have them. Now,
Yep.
what is this going to do? Of course, it's still a demand and supply game, right? What does it really mean when the interest rates rise? Sure, the interest rates right now are still way too low. Take it from me. I was having a conversation with the owner of our company building that we work in, and I was trying to be funny with him, saying, are you going to plan any new developments? What's your next strategy? And he goes, oh, no, I need the interest rates to go up. Everything's too expensive. So he likes buying when interest rates go up. Now, if you're an astute investor, you should be planning your next few
What's
moves.
the psychology behind that? Why? So this guy owns 40 million.
Multi-million.
That building alone is 40 or 50 million.
It's about 70 plus, yeah.
70 million.
Because
So-
it can go to 26 and a half.
So
stories.
why is this person telling you that? That doesn't make sense.
Well, I think he's in a different league to most Australians. So his level of understanding in the game can't be compared to someone who's trying to buy an asset worth, say, $500,000,
Yep.
right? But what's the real reason is because he doesn't want to compete when he buys. He wants to dominate when he buys. That's the real reason. Interest rate rises to contain the spending in the economy. It becomes that buyer's market, right? Sellers don't like selling because they're not going to get the best prices. Sometimes what we're going to have is a flood of supply in the market because a lot of people cannot afford their repayments. So sometimes, I remember during 2014, there was a seminar done by Robert Kiyosaki. Everyone loves Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right?
Yep.
And in 2014, he was in Australia. He did a live event here, and I think it was broadcasted to his Rich Dad, Poor Dad training networks, which there are a lot of training networks out there, right? It's like Rockefeller habits. So business coaches use Rockefeller training habits and stuff. So with Robert Kiyosaki, he openly said the Australian property market's a bit of a bubble, blah, blah, blah. And he said this in 2014. I don't know if it was in conjunction with the Tony Robbins event or not, but the greatest growth the country had ever seen prior to the pandemic boom was between 2014 to 2017. So it went up. Now imagine if someone hears advice going, it's a bit of a bubble because it has grown crazy so far. Imagine getting rid of it only to realize you can't ever go back into the property market. I feel really gutted
That is
for
so
families.
responsible for him to say that.
And now let's have a look at back to the core question. What does this really mean? We're all quite young. We're all going to be successful and healthy, wealthy for a very long time to come. Amen. Praise the Lord. Now, I feel my heart really goes out for people that have worked hard their whole life that were 55 during 2008. My heart goes out to them. I'll tell you why. People that need fixed, stable income after a year of accumulating a lot of wealth typically would rely on interest to survive, right? If not interest, dividends. So in 2008, what do we have? We had the big GFC. A lot of people's supers that were the ages of 55 to 60 started getting wiped out.
Yep.
So they had to focus on investing strategically. And the interest rate from then till today has just been tumbling. That means what's happening to these poor people's passive incomes if they weren't taught how to invest?
If they didn't
Today,
have
the
it in
fact that it's
proper
going
assets.
up, it's so low that even if I had $1 million in cash and my home paid off, that $1 million in cash is still not enough to give me the passive income retirement I wanted. But if the interest rate was 5% from a bank on savings, because don't forget, what people think is, great, mortgage interest rates are going to go up. But that means savings rates also go up. So if you utilize an offset account, so forth, so on, you can minimize how badly you'll be hit.
Look, I've done maths, and we can do a whole whiteboard session on interest rates and stuff. So I don't want to go too mathematical here.
Of course.
The reality, my biggest concern right now is let's just do some simple calculation that just for the sake of the discussion. So the average price of a property in a house in Sydney is 1.45 million. To buy a property of that price, you need to be able to borrow $1.4 million. Let's just say most people are trying to buy above the median. More affluent suburbs houses are 2.2 to 2.3, 3.5 minimum. And then when you go into ultra wealthy pockets, 20, 30, 40 million. But the reality is anyone to buy, and this is my concern, people are talking about, payments might go up by $50, $100, $600 a month or whatever it might be. People who are earning to borrow 1.3, $1.4 million, you need a household income minimum of about $240,000 to $260,000, give or take. That sect of society, from my understanding of our clients, are predominantly working white collar jobs, essentially, in IT, medical field, senior management level at, say, companies such as Woolworths, Coles, IBM, Infosys,
John Holland.
Yeah, like, GE, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, so on and so forth.
Oh, the list goes on.
Yeah, it just goes on. So
we love our Google clients. By the way, special shout out to all of our clients from Google.
Yes.
We love you because you guys are just amazing. I don't know what it is about that new bathroom system in Google or whatever it is, but you guys are great.
So when people are talking about this money, interest rate going up, I'm very confused here because from my understanding, Sean, banks always calculated things at, even though interest rates were 2%, they worked out your servicing at 5 or 6 or 7%.
Almost 7.
There was a buffer in place. Mm-hmm. And whatever we've seen through the pandemic, these people's incomes have gone up so often. And again, I'm not being classist here, but the person that can affect the prices of real estate are usually people between that household income of $200,000 and upwards.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone below that is really not even competing in the same realm of real estate. So, and from my experience, guys, and you, Mark, you speak to so many people. Have you seen any of your clients who are in IT or doctors or nurses or even management professionals? Have their incomes gone back in the last 2 years or gone up?
You can't go backwards. It's as simple as that. As life progresses, we should be going forward. These people are always going forward. So
when you're telling, and that's where the confusion is, and Sean is just saying to me that interest rates are going up. Interest rates going up for me is not as much of a concern about how much my repayments are going up. I'm more concerned about what my servicing will look like.
Mm.
That is where my concern is. So when you really understand this game of inflation and interest rates going up, guys, now I understand where the old guy was going with it, the building owner, essentially, the experienced, astute investor, is when interest rates go up, the cost of borrowing money for businesses increases, and hence they are unable to push out billions and billions of dollars of products. And slowly what happens is the market starts to balance out. So you know how we're facing expensive petrol, groceries, all of this will start to get better. So I feel with interest rates going up long term, yes, maybe your repayments will go up by $50 or $60 per week or whatever it might be. But the reality is you will end up saving so much more because goods and services will start to get cheaper today. They really, really will.
You know, when people talk about blood on the streets with the interest rates going up,
Yep.
I was having a really fun conversation with our financial planner next door this morning over coffee. And he's right. The blood on the streets will not be felt for a minimum of 20 months or 24 months because everyone in the last 2-3 years started fixing their rates. A lot of people have started fixing their rates. Now, for those that left them variable, great. A lot of business owners love leaving their homes variable so that they can offset business cash with home loan and then use it for a variety of things later. But there's not really going to be that much blood in the markets because the government, I don't feel the government or the RBA wants to try and screw with people not being able to afford homes.
No.
It is a gradual increase. It does mean you have to tighten the belt. But one thing I don't get is last week we were filming an episode called Value, how people value things. And the fact that you're going to be sitting there and complaining about interest rates going up when these are the lowest interest rates that they have ever been, doesn't that mean
Second lowest.
Doesn't that mean you've taken it for granted at least by pretending that it was going to be great all the time?
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
that just segues. I think you were saying this in the last episode. So with the interest rate drop, how much extra did you save? Where's that buffer gone?
There you go.
You had the lowest interest rates, and you knew they were going to go up one day. So did you take advantage and did you save a shit ton that was sitting in your offset? Or
it's like they said on the news. The news said something really smart the other day. The news said, well, at least for those families
you said something smart
for like one of the first ever times. And he goes, well, for all of those families that have built those buffers in by keeping their repayments normal during the drop, they'll be fine. How many families did that? 0.3%.
But
Wow.
it's
Was it really that many?
No.
Oh, I was going
That was a joke. Nothing
was
here
this
is
one.
ever advice, by the way. This is just banter. Don't act on it. But if you want to act on real advice, there's a link below. Producer Ryan, if you can.
the
Special.
the other thing, Sean, people were talking about the price increase. So I saw an article that since last year, Sydney prices have the percentage of increase has decreased by 6%. Percentage of increase compared to last year. The headline just said Sydney homes grow -6% compared to last year this time. So what they were saying is instead of 32%, what is 32 minus 6, whatever it is what the growth rate is.
This is my favorite thing. This is my favorite thing.
I can't even do this seriously. They're retarded.
You know, every time.
Really retarded the news.
The best thing is, the best part about this is every time we head into a period of steady growth after a year of robust growth, it is painted as the worst thing in the world.
Exactly.
Slowing growth. But wait, did I hear growth? Oh, great. That's a good thing.
And then when the properties are going up too much, it's unaffordable. We can't buy. Oh, what do you want?
It's a bubble.
have
The crash is coming. Beware. Blah. Yeah, I mean,
But even if it's not a crash, they're saying, properties are now too
Why will
unaffordable.
it crash?
Is that a bad thing now? Oh, but we want them to slow down. Then they slow down a bit and, we're heading for the world.
it's a bloodbath.
What? But
getting over it.
My favorite headlines every morning. My favorite headlines every morning, gentlemen. Okay. There is a very simple headline that Yahoo steal, ABC steal, Bloomberg steal, whoever it is, they steal this headline. And it's a 3-word headline. And it has been used the most out of every financial headline. You ready for it? It's either headline A or headline B. Now, you tell me how many times you both have seen this. Ready? What's the button you got ready there?
So if it's a shit headline, that's what it's going to get.
Okay, so headline A, ASX to rise. And headline B, ASX to fall. These two headlines, if you go back over the last 10 years, every morning there is a prediction before the markets open going ASX to rise, ASX to fall. Based on the futures. I get it.
And the market does what it wants to do.
Do you know, there's someone really, someone the other day said something really nice, and they said the real estate market is not a house, it's not a suburb, it is a lot of things. Real estate it's just not houses, it's commercial.
Yeah.
There's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things to happen. So often there's a conversation around the election about, the deficit and this and that and blah, 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 and everyone's got a perspective and so on and so forth. But real estate alone, in the pandemic, real estate made people, I think residential real estate made more Australians millionaires than any other asset class.
Yep.
The government has collected over $25 billion across all states in stamp duties and land tax fees. I think it created the most amount of employment, blue-collar employment, essentially. Hence, we can see today, Sean, I think one of the episodes we were talking about infrastructure. No, I think that was me. My bad. And you said you were speaking to a builder and you were telling me that bricklayers and concreters are like, no, not going to do this job, mate. You're going to pay me this much. Not coming to your site. So all of this we are seeing. So when through the toughest time with all these logistics issues, everything, the only industry that has consistently delivered, I don't see why the government will kill is golden egg. And Sean, can you just, without going too much into interest rates, can you just tell us a little bit about, because I think people need context around supply, because the borders are opening up, people are coming in, irrespective of interest rates going up, down or sideways. How's housing looking for everyone in our capital cities?
Really tight. Really, really tight. So some pockets that are saturated, that are quite expensive, will price out certain families, but families will look elsewhere. So that's why if you really focus on capital city trends in Australia, you'll notice that Sydney, as the first destination from international visitors, tends to peak first, naturally followed by a Melbourne following suit. Then you've got your Brisbanes, Adelaides and Perths coming in strong behind them.
Yep.
So this...
And Sydney ripples through your Newcastles, your Hunters.
Exactly.
Your
So there are the capital markets, then there are these sub-markets.
Yep.
So right now, yeah, Brisbane's expensive, but Brisbane has a few sub-markets that are yet to really peak. So sub-markets will pick up. Perth is heavily undervalued right now. So Perth's getting a lot of interstate traction right now.
You guys have to. This is for Perth. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be doing another Perth. No, but like, I'm seriously telling you, guys, this is a free tip. If you do not have Perth in your portfolio, honestly, have a conversation with someone. At least understand what's happening in Perth, because I can tell you what, some things that we have seen over the last couple of weeks, special shout out goes to Sean and our acquisitions team that have brought this to our notice. It is just golden. Sorry for the shameless plug, but I had to. That is gold for people.
And we as a crew, we really hate saying the words "I told you so." We don't say
all the time.
Actually, we really love saying it.
I was about to make a joke about it, but yeah, you're right.
Go.
We love saying it. No, it was the same thing. But deep down, we love saying it. So don't make us say "we told you so," because there are people that slept on Brisbane. Yep. There are people that have slept on Sydney. Okay? If I told my Brisbane buyers that they'd be buying an asset that is today worth $700,000 in the span of 12 months, they would have laughed at me, because at that time I was helping people buy $700,000 worth of an asset in Sydney. The cycle continues. So as people come in, we do have a shortage of homes. We have a heavy undersupply of homes due to a heavy undersupply of labor that has killed the supply of the land market right now. Families have an innate need to go and buy and build their dream home. Do we really need to be building all the time? No, we don't. But yet, why do people still knock down rebuild? Because they like locations. They want an ownership feel, right? They want that value out of, I created this
plus a
sense
lot of
of
older
ownership.
properties are I wouldn't go and take a shower in those bathrooms. They're horrible.
Exactly. So if you're not doing a reno,
They
or
really
you're not
are.
doing a reinvestment.
knock the
Exactly.
horrible, disgusting.
So yeah.
Mate, dropping some numbers on, and again, watch state of the market, but let me give you insights into actual percentages. So speaking of national capital cities, we are negative 11.3% in this is advertised supply, let alone actually pipeline is dry, compared to last year. And last year and the year before were the worst affected, and we're worse even though we have recovered from the pandemic. Okay, so we're negative 11.3%. I don't care what the interest rates are doing. This game is a demand and supply game. If there's no, people are not going to be living on trees or bus stops, okay? The worst affected markets in Australia as of today, worst affected markets are Brisbane, negative 20.6% compared to last year. Adelaide, little Adelaide, negative 20.9%.
She's all grown up now.
Perth, negative 16.4%. Speaking of Sydney and Melbourne, they have barely, compared to last year, have only improved by 3% in potential supply.
And hence,
this is only advertised. This is not even what, like, there's nothing else.
Yep. No one knows about it. The pipeline is heavily damaged. Pipeline is heavily damaged from the onset of COVID. A lot of people have felt the repercussions, and people are used to knowing that there's going to be negative supply for a few years to come. And it doesn't mean that when supply eventually comes back, you should stop buying. No. You're still supposed to keep buying based on your individual strategy. See, if you are not financially free today, if you don't have the passive income that you want, you should keep acquiring. That's the bottom line. Whether the interest rates are 20% or whether they're 5%, you need to do something.
I reckon in this video, if you can, or we can plug a video, I love the cash on cash return example that you give to people, because
We can just plug it. Yeah.
yeah, because I really feel people don't understand the context. Because I was speaking to James from JRFS, right?
Yep.
And James is a broker. Brokers tend to be a little bit more conservative and, want to protect their clients as best as possible while moving forward. And he said something very interesting to me. He goes, do you know if interest rates go up significantly, a lot of people with the first time buyers grants and LMI, this thing and that thing, have bought properties at 90 to 95%. So if interest rates go up significantly and the values drop significantly, what the banks will do is will increase the initial deposit requirements for these properties. So what will happen is, even if a $2 million property becomes $1 million half, your deposit requirements for that property at that risk category will be about $400,000
Absolutely.
minimum. Do you know what I mean? So again, then you're in this realm of, holy shit, there's $1 million property, but now I need $400,000. Like, I'm talking theoretical.
This is, you know what's funny? James, actually, we did a special podcast during the onset of the pandemic, before it became really scary. And James educated a lot of our clients on this. And you know what? The few that took that advice on board and executed today are actually
James pretty good
millionaires just in like 2 years.
Yeah.
This is no joke. Couple of people we had pick up subsequent assets, half a mil, you made $1 million in 2 years. It's not a joke. Crazy stuff.
The other thing, Sean, I think you brought it to my attention. So we were just talking about a few numbers. So say you've got $50,000 and let's say, Sean, I buy a house and land, for example. I've got $50,000 and I buy a $500,000 house and land. I put a 10% deposit on the land, maybe a 5 or 10% deposit on the build. And now let's say it's 12 months away. Okay. Say in 12 months, even if I saw a bare increase of 5%. Okay. Now let's say it got delayed because of COVID or whatever. Now it's become 2 years and the second year got another 5% growth. So circa first on 500, I got 25, and then on 525, I got another 5%. So that's whatever, 35. So I've just, in 2 years, without paying 0% interest, I have just made over doubled my money. So I've made another $55,000. Guess what? Tax free. Not a cent I didn't do anything. That is better return than any term deposit. Better return than anything else.
Absolutely.
Now think about this, guys. This is really, really important. Sean, when fuel prices started to go up, did Shell absorb the price, or are you absorbing it in the C63?
Customer definitely absorbs it.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this. Interest rate went up with RBA. What did the banks do, Mark?
Gave it to me as well.
Gave it to you.
They passed it like COVID.
Yep. And your repayments went up.
Yep.
Sean, what happened to the rents in Brisbane? You were just telling me someone rented something for $600.
$600 when their proposal on purchase suggestion was $410 a week.
So when this person did their due diligence, and made this investment decision, they were basing the rent at $410.
Correct.
And this is the interest rates have just moved up 0.25.
Correct.
So that's, I don't know, mate. Like, what is that? So on $500,000, if I was paying what, 3.3, say
3.3, yep,
3.3%. So that was 16,500. Let's say 3.3 plus 0.25. That's 3.55. On the same $500,000, 500,000, 3.55. So that became 17,750. So
minus 16.5.
Minus 16.5.
You can divide it by 52. Let's just get a weekly figure.
Yep. So it's $24. My repayments have gone up.
But my rent went up.
What did he say?
$190.
Wow. So who's the sucker here? The tenant.
No. The tenant gets a beautiful home, right? The tenant pays what the market's willing to pay. It's time for a subscription break.
It is a subscription break. Sean was just like, that went too far. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a subscription break. Subscribe. Wow. We're back from the subscription break.
Was I?
Yeah.
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled, we the best music. Mate, we've just been plugging people. Ladies and gentlemen,
For free.
For free. We just want to thank Bella Vista Hotel. Actually, before we continue down in our episode about interest rates and why you should not care, it is not that big a deal. Or maybe you should if you don't have good savings, but that's your problem. Coming back to what we were saying, Bella Vista Hotel has been really, really nice. We did have an issue for our previous episode. There was some equipment issue, and
We've got an equipment upgrade.
we did. They were very, very nice, very kind to go out there and fix this up. They were in touch. And by the way, the house beer is really good. It's a what did we drink today?
A pale ale.
Pale ale. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Bella Vista Hotel is where we are recording from, and I just want to give them a quick shout out before we continue down this episode. Main location sponsor, if you will. We need some flight partners, Qantas, so we can take this show on the road. But let's wrap up our conversation around interest rates. Now, Mark, when you're talking to people, you yourself are under, you have made a recent purchase, and through the purchase, you have been notified that interest rates are going up. How's that making you feel? Have your numbers really fallen apart? Or since your purchase, have the numbers on your purchase really changed?
Since it's a new home that I'm building, I have been pushing the builders even harder. Let's finish up the project.
Yes.
Keep the drawdowns coming through.
Yep.
Let's go. Because I don't care what the interest rates are. I know what's going to be coming in at the completion, just like many other people should be looking
So
at.
when you started your construction and when you decided to buy this property, the interest rates were far lower, and now they're 0.25% higher. I can't say this with a serious face. I'm really trying. I don't know how they do it on 60 Minutes. Now, since then, you did your feasibility on rent. So what was the rent you were thinking about at the time you were making this purchase, and what are the rents looking out to be? I know you haven't finished this yet, but what is that looking like? Is it very similar to what Sean's client story is?
Very similar to Sean. Very similar. I think that was even in a very close suburb, if not the same suburb. So,
and have you, even before completion, have you seen comparable sales for your property?
Yep.
Have they gone up or gone backwards in value with this news? Has your property, like, say, I know you don't have to disclose too much tonight. I know,
no, that's fine.
But say, has your property gone back $150,000 since the announcement?
It has grown 20% between where we are today and August.
Has it suddenly stopped and started going backwards?
You sure it's only been 20%? You've actually smashed 20%, you know.
Oh, I'm being conservative.
Yeah, your suburb is one of the top performers countrywide.
Wow. If you want to know Mark's choice of real estate and where he bought and made more than 20%, this is a shameless plug.
Yep.
Hey, put a virtual coffee link in this one. Hey, let them have a chat with Mark. Let them have a chat with Mark.
So let them just chew his brains, ask him about why that area was good, what was the study going in. The best thing was...
Why hasn't it gone back, Sean? Like, ABC says...
Demand and supply, that's it. Demand was higher than the supply, that's all.
So you're sure it's not gone back $200,000?
Pretty sure.
Very good. Very good. On that, ladies and gentlemen, I reckon this is a wrap. I think it is. I really think it is.
Yeah.
Because interest rates, up, down, or sideways, the only thing I'm excited about is if you like cold cuts, nice cheese, fresh veg, it is going to get cheaper with this interest rates rise. Ladies and gentlemen, this was an episode of Friday Night Live. Thank you very much. But before we wrap up, let's do some Rapid Robins because we've got time today.
This is what I look forward to.
I was
every week.
missing this last week,
Every
and
week.
I love the fact that we get to go back to it this week.
Yes, yes.
So the question I've been burning for a week to ask you both gentlemen is, you're only allowed one answer.
I hate these ones because I have to do a whole monologue.
yeah. I'm keen for the
He
monologue.
puts three answers in like the one sentence.
In the one sentence.
Oh.
Like, his favorite historical figure, Einstein, this, that, blah, blah,
I
blah.
love he remembers.
Ready? So, ladies and gentlemen, what is your favorite physical landmark or building of all time? Kesh.
Physical landmark.
Or building. Seeing as that we're in the investment, real estate, building, financing space, only suitable to pick your favorite building of all time. Not a natural landmark. I'm talking about a man-made, man-built.
Look, since I was a kid, no matter where I went in Sydney, if there was a view of the Sydney skyline, I would be always talking about Centrepoint Tower.
Really?
Always.
Wow. Is that your favorite like man-made
No,
landmark
it's
of
probably
all
not my
time?
It's not my favourite, but it's something I would talk about religiously.
Is this growing up, or is this while you
I
were
was
a
at-
young
I think
professional?
I was at Taronga Zoo, and there was this beautiful animal in front of me. I'm going, Mom, look at Centrepoint Tower. How good does it look? And she's just like, you're an idiot. What are we doing here?
Wow. Okay. But what is your favorite landmark of all time?
Crown
This is so hard.
Barangaroo.
I think if
Yeah, the new Shardy building.
Oh, the shard.
I
Shard.
think
It's Sydney's Shard.
modern day landmark
London has its Shard, which is a bit chat.
does.
would be the Apple headquarters. I really like the Apple.
Which Apple headquarters? In
The official Cupertino, whatever that
I
big
think you're just
round.
trying to fish for another sponsor.
No. I really do. I really think that's a
you
pretty.
like that landmark the most? What does it look like?
It's a big circle. Have you seen the Apple headquarters,
Yeah.
mate? We got to plug this in.
I
here.
have a feeling I know which one your one is going to be.
Ooh. My one's a very unique, it's a refined taste one. You'll like the building if you know it, but yeah.
I'll show you what the Apple headquarters.
I really want to see what Apple headquarters look like, because if it looks like a circle, there was this movie that they built called The Circle, which was a great film. Oh, right. Producer Ryan, let's put this up for everyone so they can see. Do you want to take a quick screenshot?
Oh, you'll be able to get it. Find
Oh,
one.
easy. Just Google Apple
Apple
headquarters.
headquarters.
So it's just a big circle. I like it's like that, like
But
that ring.
what I really love about it is if you really understand. There's a whole thing behind the building and the way they've
Tell
built
us.
Mate, I'm not getting it.
No. First time I genuinely want to hear the whole thing about the building. Wow.
It is one of the most eco-friendly
How
buildings
gorgeous.
and has a perfect balance between first place, second place, and third place dynamics.
Let me guess. The circle is about what goes around, comes around. It all starts together. It's all in flow. Does it have anything to do with that?
It's an architectural, like, this is brilliance.
You know, this just looks like a 1K day stadium with the internals just ripped off, right?
It is.
The big cricket
But
stadium
you got
ripped off.
All of this is solar panels on top, and it's very green. And I'm very much for sustainable architecture nowadays. Like,
And if you want a highly graded piece of sustainable architecture, Kesh is always available to help you understand thermodynamics, visual dynamics,
Yes.
every dynamic under the sun,
Yes.
and return dynamics. Have a
Yes.
chat. He's happy to help you.
Mate, I want to buy future-proof real estate. Absolutely.
I want to hear Sean's one.
Oh, yeah. My favorite landmark of all time, I want to put a one-line story behind it. While I was growing up, I used to have a big fascination about building blocks, building Lego, building towers. And growing up, I used to actually sketch and draw skyscrapers. I've always been passionate about skyscrapers my entire life. I have a fascination of heights. Maybe that's why I grew tall as well. This is not a joke.
That was for those of you who don't know, Sean is actually taller than the Big Show.
No. I might be taller than The Rock by a touch, but not the Big Show. But my favorite building of all time is actually the Petronas Towers.
Petronas Towers, yes.
And I have drawn that Petronas Towers probably 100 times as a child. But
I think-
that was my favorite because when it was completed, it was the tallest building in the world, and there were two of them. And it had this beautiful bridge where you could walk from one tower to the other. I love it. Sexy, beautiful.
I think when you start a family office, like our favorite TV show, I reckon we gotta structure a deal to get it.
The Petronas Towers? Yep.
Alrighty.
Dreams are free. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an episode of Friday Night Live. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, stay safe. Don't worry about the 0.25%.
Yeah, don't worry about anything, mate.